An unseen force shapes your every thought, every decision, every emotion. It's not fate, not some external power. It's buried deep within you, the unconscious mind. And if you unlock it, you gain a power few ever do, the ability to reshape your reality. Carl Jung shattered psychology's foundations with one revelation: the collective unconscious. Hidden within it are archetypes, universal symbols shaping our thoughts, choices, and identities. The hero, rising against impossible odds. The shadow, embodying our darkest fears. The mentor, guiding us at pivotal moments. These patterns aren't myths. They're psychological blueprints controlling us in ways we barely perceive. But here's the truth. Real transformation starts when you confront the unconscious. Face the shadow. Decode the patterns steering your life. Reclaim the buried pieces of yourself. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you may never see yourself the same way again. Jung's ideas defied Freud's. Freud saw the unconscious as a vault of repressed trauma. Jung saw something bigger, a vast shared memory stretching beyond cultures and time. Archetypes aren't just stories. They're the DNA of human experience. And once you recognize them, your world will never look the same. Jung didn't see archetypes as myths or symbols. No, they're the hidden forces shaping your every thought, every choice, every fear. Look at your life. Ever felt an unstoppable drive to push forward as if something unseen compels you? That's the hero archetype, scripting your story. Or maybe you fought an inner battle, desires clashing with fear, impulses pulling you in opposite directions. That's your shadow, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to be acknowledged. These forces aren't just in myths. They shape your dreams, your relationships, your patterns. They can guide you or trap you, locking you in cycles you don't even see. How do you break free? Jung's answer: individuation. The moment you expose these hidden forces, they lose control over you. Instead, you learn to control them. The hero drives us forward. From Luke Skywalker to MLK, their struggles mirror a universal truth. Greatness demands trials. But what happens when the hero's fire burns too bright, when conquest becomes obsession? That's when the shadow rises. Your shadow is everything you suppress, every fear, every buried truth. You think ignoring it makes it disappear? It doesn't. It lingers. It controls. So ask yourself, what part of you have you exiled? What fear, what truth have you locked away? Because until you face it, you are not truly free. Real transformation begins when you stop running from your fears, your hidden strengths, your own darkness. Only by facing them can you become whole. But the hero and the shadow? Just the beginning. Other forces shape us too. The wise mentor who appears in crisis. The anima and animus, masculine and feminine energies that shape our emotions, desires, and relationships. We are not one thing. We are contradictions, light and dark, strength and vulnerability, instinct and reason. Self-discovery isn't a straight road, it's a spiral. Every turn peels away another layer of who we think we are, revealing truths we never saw coming. Look at your life. What patterns repeat? What roles do you slip into without thinking? By the end of this journey, you won't just see these archetypes, you'll learn to control them. Jung's archetypes aren't just in books or myths. They shape how we move through the world. And one of the most deceptive forces? The persona. Your persona is the mask you wear, the polished version of you designed to fit in, to avoid rejection, to meet expectations. Think about it. Are you the same person at work as you are with close friends? Do you shift your tone, your mannerisms, your opinions? That's the persona at work, a survival tool. But here's the danger: when the mask becomes the identity. The more you rely on it, the further you drift from who you really are. You become a performance. And when that happens, when the mask takes over, you risk losing yourself completely. Only by mastering the forces shaping us, our masks, our shadows, our archetypes, can we finally step into who we were meant to be. And that's exactly what we're about to uncover. The persona isn't the enemy. It's a tool, a mask we wear to navigate the world. But the danger? Forgetting it's just a mask. When the mask takes over, a quiet emptiness creeps in. A voice whispers, "Something is missing." That something is you. Ask yourself, are you living or just performing? Are your ambitions, relationships, and desires truly yours? Or shaped by a persona built to please, conform, survive? But the persona is just one piece of a deeper puzzle. Another force shapes us from within, the anima and animus. Jung saw them as the hidden masculine and feminine energies in all of us. The anima, the well of emotion and intuition in men. The animus, the force of strength and assertion in women. Not abstract ideas, but keys to balance, depth, and power. Yet society tells us to suppress them. Men bury their anima, fearing vulnerability. Women silence their animus, shrinking from power. And in doing so, we cut ourselves off from our true potential. Real transformation happens when we reclaim these parts. A man in touch with his anima connects, feels, understands beyond logic. A woman embracing her animus stands firm, unafraid, unstoppable. This isn't about gender roles, it's about wholeness. Jung called this individuation, the process of integrating every fractured piece of who we are. At its core is the self, the unifying force of our psyche. Think of it as the sun, with every archetype, the persona, the shadow, the anima, the animus, circling around it. But here's the paradox. The self isn't a destination. It's the journey itself. You don't just wake up whole. Growth means shedding layers, confronting what you once ignored or feared, and often it starts with crisis, a rupture in your life, a moment of heartbreak, failure, disillusionment, forcing you to face yourself. These moments don't just break us, they wake us up. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt everything shift? A moment so raw it made you question who you are? That wasn't just suffering, it was an invitation to drop the mask, to confront the shadow, to reclaim what's been lost, to finally return to who you were always meant to be. Have you ever faced a moment so raw it forced you to stop, to question everything? These moments, often painful, aren't obstacles, they're invitations. Invitations to grow, to transform, to become more than you ever thought possible. Carl Jung believed the key to these breakthroughs lies not in our waking world, but in our dreams. When awake, we filter, suppress, rationalize. But in dreams, the unconscious speaks, a chase through endless corridors, a fear you refuse to face, a vast ocean swallowing the land, change looming on the horizon, the sensation of flight, a desperate need to break free. These symbols aren't random. They're messages, clues, a coded map of the psyche. Learn to read them, and you learn to see yourself. But Jung's work went beyond the individual mind. He discovered something greater, a force that binds us all, the Bartet collective unconscious. Think about it. How do civilizations separated by oceans and centuries tell the same stories? Why does every culture echo the hero's journey, the wise mentor, the battle between light and shadow? Because these stories aren't just myths. They are reflections of something deeper, universal truths etched into the human experience. And your struggles? They aren't just yours. Your fears, triumphs, and search for meaning are part of something vast, a journey walked by every human before you. So ask yourself, do you see your life as part of a greater story, a shared human experience? Jung believed embracing this truth brings what we all seek, meaning. It shows us we're not alone, that our struggles are echoes of countless others, and in that there is clarity, purpose. But insight means nothing without action. Now, we move from theory to practice. How do you confront your unconscious patterns? How do you work with archetypes? Through journaling, meditation, and self-reflection. But most of all, through awareness in daily life. Because once you see the patterns, you can break them. And once you break them, you change everything. Stay with me, because what comes next will challenge everything you know about transformation, about who you really are. This isn't theory, this is experience. Recognizing archetypes isn't an intellectual exercise. It's a visceral journey into the depths of your unconscious, where hidden truths wait to be uncovered. Not observed, integrated. So how do you begin? How do you truly see? Start with journaling, not just writing. Listening. A direct conversation with your unconscious. Try this. What symbols or themes repeat in your dreams? What qualities do you admire in others but struggle to embody? What fears do you avoid? What myths or characters resonate with you, and why? These aren't random thoughts. They're clues. If you're drawn to Frodo or Katniss, that's your hero archetype calling, the part of you that craves purpose, that longs to rise above struggle. But there's a deeper way to connect. Meditation. Silence the mind, turn inward, and something remarkable happens. Archetypes emerge, not as ideas but as living forces. Try this. Step into a symbolic space, a dark forest, an ancient temple, an endless sky. Let the figures appear. Who do you see? What do they want to tell you? Jung called this active imagination, where you don't just observe, but engage. If you meet your shadow, don't run. Ask, what do you want to teach me? Why are you here? What part of me have I refused to see? This is where transformation begins, when archetypes stop being concepts and become something else, alive. Because this journey isn't about knowledge, it's about awakening. And the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. You are never just one person. You are the hero, the shadow, the sage, the seeker, all waiting to be brought into the light. Let's strip away the surface. Archetypes aren't ideas. They're forces shaping your every move. Take the shadow. It's not hiding in your mind. It's playing out in your life, in your relationships, in the people who get under your skin. Ever felt an irrational dislike for someone? A frustration that seems too intense? What if I told you that what irritates you in others is often a reflection of something buried within yourself? This is projection, the shadow revealing itself. The parts of yourself you reject, insecurities, fears, even hidden strengths, don't disappear. You see them in others. Jung urged us to reclaim these projections. So next time someone triggers you, pause. Ask yourself, what is this moment revealing about me? What part of myself am I refusing to see? What truth am I running from? Because the parts you ignore won't stay hidden. They'll return through people, conflicts, struggles, until you're ready to face them. And the shadow? Just one piece of the puzzle. Look at the anima and animus. The hidden masculine and feminine energies within us all. They don't just shape how we see ourselves. They define how we love. Jung observed that we don't just fall for people, we project our inner anima or animus onto them. We believe they complete us. But here's the truth. What we seek in others already exists within us. If you're drawn to warmth and compassion, your anima is urging you to develop those qualities. Admire confidence and strength? That's your animus calling you to step into your power. And here's the shift that changes everything. When you stop looking for completion in others and start awakening it within yourself, your relationships transform. You no longer need someone to fix you. You reclaim what was missing all along. But there's one more mask to confront, the persona. We all wear masks, the employee, the leader, the friend. They help us survive. But when the mask becomes a prison, when the version of yourself you present is no longer you, then what? Ask yourself, are the roles you play aligned with your truth? Or are they shaped by expectation, by society, by family, by fear? Jung believed that individuation, the journey to the self, requires peeling away the layers, unmasking, stepping into who you really are, And make no mistake, this isn't easy. It demands honesty, courage. It might mean walking away from roles, relationships, even identities that no longer serve you, because the self, the archetype of wholeness, doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to erase your flaws. It asks you to embrace them. Because only when you stop running, only when you own every part of yourself, can you finally become whole. Now, consider this. A tree isn't just its leaves or branches. Its strength lies beneath, in tangled, unseen roots. So it is with you, your light and shadow, triumphs and wounds, strengths and fears. Every part matters. The journey to the self isn't about rejecting flaws. It's about embracing, nay, everything. Only then do you become whole. But this isn't just personal. Jung saw individuation as sacred, not just self-discovery, but a force that shapes humanity itself. The moment you integrate your archetypes, you don't just change, you evolve. So ask yourself, what patterns keep repeating in your life? What emotions, symbols, or stories follow you? What parts of you remain in the dark? Because here's the final truth. To embrace the self is to embrace transformation. And once you do, nothing looks the same again. Shall we continue? Individuation, the path to wholeness. This journey isn't a straight road. It's a labyrinth, twisting, uncertain, filled with moments that shake you. But it's also a path to clarity, to awakening, to truth. The biggest misconception, that individuation is about fixing yourself. Jung believed the opposite. It's not about perfection, it's about integration. Wholeness means accepting everything. Your light and darkness, power and vulnerability, chaos and order. Because the truth is, you're not meant to be flawless. You're meant to be real. Jung used a symbol to illustrate this, the mandala. Across cultures, it represents unity, balance, the cosmos itself. But more than that, it represents you, all your fragmented parts coming together into a singular, radiant whole. And when you step into that wholeness, everything changes. Jung made a discovery. At the brink of transformation, his patients created mandalas, in art, in dreams, in symbols rising from the unconscious. These intricate circles weren't just patterns. They were maps of the soul. The mandala represents the self, your light, your shadow, your fears, your potential. Now, close your eyes. What symbols emerge? What truth is waiting to be revealed? Because here's the real question. How do you bring individuation to life? Step 1. Awareness. Turning on the light. You cannot change what you refuse to see. Individuation starts with awareness, shining a light on the unconscious forces shaping your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Look at your life. Where do you feel stuck? What patterns keep repeating? Are conflicts, especially with authority, partners, or yourself, strangely familiar? These aren't coincidences. They're signals from your unconscious, pointing to unresolved truths. If you always clash with authority, maybe the fight isn't with them. Maybe it's with your own suppressed need for autonomy. Step 2. Dream work, the language of the unconscious. Your unconscious speaks, always, not in words, but in dreams, images, symbols, emotions bypassing logic, revealing what your waking mind resists. Keep a dream journal. Patterns will emerge, recurring symbols will surface, and within them, you will see yourself. Being chased? You're avoiding something. Flying? A longing for freedom. Lost in an unfamiliar place? Fear of uncertainty. Every dream is a message, every symbol, a key. Step 3. The shadow, where the gold is hidden. Now comes the hardest part, because transformation doesn't come from rejecting parts of yourself. It comes from embracing them. Jung said, "The gold is in the shadow. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It holds your hidden strengths, your repressed desires, your unclaimed potential. Ask yourself, what parts of you do you hide? What truths do you refuse to see? What if, instead of fearing them, you welcome them? The moment you stop running from your shadow, you reclaim your power. Step 4. Balance, holding the tension. The psyche is built on duality, the hero and the shadow, the anima and the animus, control and surrender. Most people try to resolve this tension, choosing one side and rejecting the other. Jung taught the opposite. True growth comes from holding both. The hero drives you forward. The shadow reminds you of your limits. You need both. Individuation isn't choosing between them. It's learning to live with them, because only when you embrace everything, without shame, without fear, do you become whole. So now ask yourself, what if you stopped fighting who you are and started becoming it? The hero drives us forward. The shadow keeps us grounded. One urges us to rise, to conquer. The other forces us to face our fears. True power isn't choosing between them. It's holding both. When the hero flies too high, the shadow pulls him down. When the shadow threatens to consume, the hero pushes into the light. This balances everything. It's not just light and dark. It's the dance between conscious and unconscious. Jung saw the unconscious as an ocean, the conscious mind as a small boat. Most try to control the waves, to tame the depths. But the ocean cannot be conquered. The goal isn't to fight the unconscious, it's to sail with it. How do you navigate the depths of your own mind? Create art, music, writing, anything that lets the unconscious speak. Pick up a pen, write without thinking. Draw, paint, let instinct guide you. Lose yourself in music, in movement. Don't create to impress. Create to reveal. Your unconscious is always speaking. The question is, will you listen? The journey has no end. Individuation isn't a destination. It's not about becoming some perfect, healed version of yourself. It's about being in the process. Embracing contradictions. Living with curiosity. Seeing your unconscious not as an enemy, but as your greatest source of power. A wellspring of wisdom, creativity, untapped strength. And when you stop fearing it, when you learn to work with it, everything changes. So now, one final question. Will you ignore the whispers of your unconscious? Or will you listen and step into the journey waiting for you? Because make no mistake, it has been calling you all along. The path to the self is not easy, but it is the most important journey you will ever take, and it begins right now. Will you answer the call?